Hey, what's up, guys? Little man with a big opinion here. I woke up later than usual today. Uh, put in about a mile and a half on my exercise bike and didn't have time for coffee, so just came straight to work and we're getting the video out. But even though I had a reduced amount of time, I still got in some cardio. Uh, I've seen a decent amount of preppers where some of the group looks pretty fit, and some of them are posting videos of them actively you know doing things that uh, is a strain. Some people might even consider it a workout. uh, and then other preppers that I've seen, they're kind of on the larger side. They're still putting out good information, but to a certain extent, it can kind of seem like a guru, because there's something you can do for virtually free, unless you think of your time as money, that I think every prepper really needs to take into consideration. Uh, I've mentioned it before that 42% of the adult population in the United States is obese. I don't know what the population of children is, but I imagine there's a decent correlation. Um, I want to suspect that it's lower just because of the amount of people that participate in sports in high school, or band or ROTC or anything like that, that keeps them moving. You know, their freshman 15 for college doesn't just come from you have so much more free time so you sit around. It comes from, like myself, I didn't do track and cross country in college. Wasn't good enough for it. And so, I added about 6 or 7 pounds my freshman year. Uh, I was spending more time in the gym and nowhere near the amount of time I was doing running in high school. That being said, I'm not calling out anyone from my high school, um, but I could randomly pick 10 or 15 of my friends, and they all look bigger. I mean, I think we all do still continue to grow and get bigger while staying relatively the same, at least for a few years after high school. Uh, but some of them have, you know, gone from the hot cheerleader or the stud football player to the dad bod, and I don't really know what the female equivalent is, but you can tell they've kind of, you know, let themselves go. And I'm not ragging on people's, appearances, trying to fat shame or do anything like that. Uh, but from a prepper's mindset, you want to be in the best position physically, mentally, to a certain extent, financially and, economically, and it's mostly based off of your preps and the knowledge you've gained. Um, the other analogy that I've used is, in The Walking Dead, they get to the prison, uh, and I'm forgetting the black guy's name, but he always used a hammer, and he was a beast. Like he was just a big burly guy. Uh, And when he actually had the downtime and he wasn't worried about walkers, he started working out in the prison gym again. And he went from like a big burly guy to, in the Walking Dead world, probably the fittest person in the entire show. Oh, that water's cold. Uh, but it took years before they established this place, and to keep the show entertaining, they had to obviously, you know, get him removed from there, and they had to add drama, and so he wasn't really able to continue to strive to that peak performance. And in a lot of grid down situations, you probably won't be worried about your physical fitness. You're going to be worried about keeping your house warm because it's cold. You're going to be worried about feeding yourself and your kids. You're going to be worried about so many other things that the muscle strength and endurance that you have in that situation, you'll probably just maintain your physique. Um, but if your physique is, in the obese category and you're not actively, you know, doing anything to help you, for one, you're going to seriously struggle. Uh, once the gasoline stops moving, most of your travel will be on foot, bicycle, horse, maybe. Uh, but just ask yourself the question, especially, me living in a rural town. Uh, the next closest town for me that has any substantial weight to it is like 31 miles away. I haven't done that much hiking, but from what I have done, you know, I can safely do about 10 miles a day. So you're talking about a week walk there and back for whatever reason you're going there. Uh, on a bicycle, you can cut that into half or into a third, but it's still an issue because the more out of shape you are when the grid goes down, the more struggles you're going to have. Um, Another big issue that I have, and I brought up the statistics on the obesity, because in the United States, it leads to a bunch of different health problems that does, have a pretty high uh, mortality. And so you're not just worrying about the physical aspect of having to walk somewhere, you're worried about the physical aspect of, growing crops, tending animals, fighting off the next, you know, bad guy in your area, defending your family. But then you also have to worry about stuff like taking metformin. Uh, if you didn't know, metformin is a diabetes medicine. And about a year ago, at 5'3", I was like 185 pounds, heaviest I've ever been, and I never plan on going back there. Right now, I'm sitting very comfortably at 155, fluctuates up a couple pounds, fluctuates down a couple pounds, but in less than a year, dropped about 30 pounds. Um, Me and my doctor are going back and forth on lowering the dosage or just removing the medicine altogether and just diet and exercise. Because for a lot of people with type 2, because type 2 is, in lack of a better term, you're fat or you're obese or overweight. Um, the easiest way to get rid of that or go into remission is lose the poundage. Uh, and that's what I am actively doing. That being said, that's just one of the issues. High blood pressure means the higher your heart rate gets, the more you're physically moving, the more issues you can have. On top of just being in a resting position and having a high heart rate, because that means your heart's working harder in a situation where it would like to be resting more. Uh, High blood pressure, that's another issue. There's a lot of issues that come up out of. Say that's what I get for waking up early. I went to go check my watch and it's not there. Or waking up late. But lots of health issues, and you've heard the term comorbidity tossed around recently. Um, so it's a morbidity, and you could have other morbidities. You could have a weakened immune system, and if you're overweight, that's two things. The more things you add, the worse it gets. Some of these things are preventable by eating the right foods, doing exercise. Some of them you're stuck with them, or you take some sort of medication to help out. So exercise is super important. I'm not saying we all got to look like you know Chris Hemsworth when he's playing Thor. Uh, what I am saying is, when you go to your doctor, you need to take the time and figure out your BMI, which is your body mass index. It tells you the percent of your body that's body fat and the percent of, muscle and different stuff like that. If it's over 20, really should reevaluate what you're doing. If it's in that 15 to 20 range, or like 15 to 19.9, you're kind of in that pre-obesity range, and you can comfortably live in that range and just, exercise a lot. Last time I went, I think I was sitting at 15 and a half. Might have been 16.1. I don't remember. But I know it was 15 or 16. Um, at this point, I would hope it's gotten lower because I haven't been to the guy in like 4 months. And I still got a couple more months, so I do have to get back. Uh, but it's okay to have that little bit of stomach as long as you can move the stomach quickly with your legs. As long as you can carry the stomach when you're going upwards in pull-ups or downwards in push-ups. Uh, if you are actively, hiking or tending your animals or your garden and you're training with your firearms, and I'm not just talking about you hang up a paper target, you sit down, you kneel, you stand up, you do that kind of stuff. I'm talking about, you set up a couple boxes and maybe you do some push-ups to get your heart rate up, kind of elevate the situation. You run up to the box, you got several different targets. You're making it a dynamic shooting experience, um, for self-defense purposes. Uh, if you're actively doing all those things and you're in that like 15 to 19.9 range, you know, I commend you, because that's the range that I'm in. If you're, between 5 and 15, that's typically major athletes, and good for you. Um, I hope to join y'all someday. Um, it just takes time. As long as you got a goal and you're pushing yourself, uh, then I think you'll be fine. So, as preppers, if we can put away all the food we want, we can put away all the guns and water and solar panels and all this other stuff. But if we're already living unhealthy and we can't take care of ourselves physically, then that's a problem. You need to set a goal. I don't care if your goal takes 5 years, 6 months, it's a goal that you do for the rest of your life. As long as you are actively improving yourself, that's all I can ask for. Let me know in the comment section down below what y'all do to stay, in safe, stay in shape, stay, combat ready, SHTF ready. Uh, what are some of your exercise routines? Maybe I'll try them out. Maybe I'll give you a little shout out in future videos if I like the workout. Uh, Next thing, like the video if you enjoyed it, and then subscribe. And once you subscribe, hit the little bell notification icon. It lets you know when a video of mine has been released because I don't know what part of the day I release videos. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one.